The television courtroom had never witnessed such pure, unfiltered arrogance wrapped in designer clothing and dripping with inherited wealth. Madison Kingsley, the 24-year-old daughter of tech billionaire Richard Kingsley, strutted into Judge Judy Sheindlin's courtroom that Tuesday morning wearing a $15,000 Chanel suit and $80,000 diamond earrings that cut the studio lights like tiny explosions of privilege. Her perfectly highlighted blonde hair was styled in loose waves that probably cost more than most people's monthly rent, and her Louis Vuitton handbag sat casually on the defendant's table like a trophy of excess. She was there for what seemed like a simple small claims case, a measly $3,200 damage dispute that wouldn't even register as a rounding error in her monthly allowance. But the moment those 8 words left her perfectly glossed lips, the words that would destroy her life forever, the entire courtroom went silent. "You're just another public servant who works for people like me." What happened in the next 8 minutes would become the most viral courtroom moment of 2024, shared over 180 million times across every social media platform imaginable, with the hashtag Billionaire Justice trending for 9 consecutive days. But here's what makes the story absolutely insane. Madison didn't just lose her case. She didn't just get embarrassed on national television. What Judge Judy did to her in those 8 minutes was so devastatingly brutal, so righteously furious that it triggered federal tax investigations into her father's empire, destroyed Madison's trust fund access permanently, and exposed a pattern of criminal behavior that would land her with a record, mandatory community service, and a complete destruction of the privileged life she had always known. Madison had walked into that courtroom believing she was untouchable, protected by her father's $4.7 billion fortune like it was a force field against consequences. After all, she had been arrested 3 times before, once for DUI, when she crashed her $400,000 Lamborghini with vanity plates reading data spay into a farmer's market, once for assaulting a valet who didn't bring her car fast enough, and once for credit card fraud when she used her roommate's card for a $8,000 shopping spree. Every single charge had mysteriously disappeared, crushed under the weight of her father's expensive legal team and well-placed donations to the right political campaigns. She drove through life like it was her personal highway, treating service workers and anyone she considered beneath her, documented on her Instagram account with followers who watched her wealth porn lifestyle. She posted stories mocking poor people standing in line at grocery stores and bragging about never having worked a single day in her privileged life. Another amusing anecdote she could share with her cocktails at exclusive Manhattan rooftop bars. Emma Rodriguez was a 26-year-old nursing student who worked 2 jobs: nursing assistant while taking night classes, security deposit and first month's rent on her modest, a place she could call home after years of living with roommates and cramped. Her eyes tired from studying medical, A.M, her spirit weary from the constant financial, without family money to fall back on, and her parents worked in restaurant opportunities they never had, stretched as far as it could possibly go, when her mother needed emergency surgery that insurance wouldn't fully cover, to sublet her apartment for 2. Born from love and desperation, Madison had responded to Emma's Craigslist ad, paying the first month in cash and charming. Within 1 week, the destruction began, crammed into the tiny studio. Police officers, retail employees, stationed with open contempt that she proudly, 340,000, with a mixture of envy and disgust, laughing at minimum wage workers. This case was supposed to be just another joke. Trust fund friends over $200. The plaintiff sitting across from Madison couldn't have been more different, pulling double shifts at a hospital to earn her degree. She had saved for 3 years to afford the $1,800 per month studio apartment in a decent neighborhood. Unsafe conditions. Her hands were rough from long hours of patient care, textbooks until 2 o'clock, stress of putting herself through school. Emma's family had immigrated from Mexico when she was 12. Kitchens and cleaning services to give their daughter. Every dollar Emma earned was precious, carefully budgeted. When a financial emergency hit, Emma made the desperate decision, months to help pay the medical bills. That decision would become the worst mistake of her life, pretending to be just another young professional needing temporary housing. Emma with promises to take excellent care of the apartment. Madison threw massive parties with 40 or 50 people, invited her wealthy friends to trash the place for Instagram content, and deliberately destroyed on social media videos that she later deleted. The damage totaled $18,000. The to buy was slashed with a knife in a video. Burn the poor people furniture. The television was smashed. Madison throwing champagne bottles at it. The kitchen appliances broken from deliberate misuse. The bathroom flooded multiple times when champagne bottles and laughed about it. The mattress burned with cigarette holes. When Emma returned after 2 months of caring for her recovering mother, the landlord kept security deposit and additional damages, and Madison had posted about it on Instagram. Peasant living, she called Madison 17 times. Every call ignored. She tried to contact Richard Kingsley's office. She filed a police report, though it later emerged that the precinct threw generous donations. But Kingsley family lawyers got it dismissed on a technicality. Judge Judy's television show was Emma's last desperate chance at justice. Madison accountable for destroying not just an apartment. She was suing for $3,200, plus a small amount for emotional distress, but hoping to at least get something back from the wreckage of her life. New was that judge, investigating the Kingsley, they had recovered videos showing the destruction in real time. Madison used racial slurs about Emma and bragged about Targ. Emma's belongings in drunken rages captured, but that Judge Judy's research team had recovered. Designer couch Emma had saved 2 years, Madison captioned. The screen shattered for a TikTok video showing. The white carpet was stained beyond repair with red wine. Dishes smashed against walls for fun. Madison clogged the toilet with. The bedroom walls were spray painted with obscene words and phrases. The closet door ripped off its hinges. She walked into a disaster zone that looked like a war had been fought inside her home. Emma's entire $3,600. Threatened to sue her for the. Emma had lost everything she had worked for. With laughing emojis and the caption "Trash this dump," Emma tried everything to get justice. She texted photos of the damage and received laughing emoji responses. But his assistant literally laughed and hung up on her. But officers told her it was a civil matter and couldn't help. Kingsley family had connections to the local. She attempted to sue in local small claims court, arguing that Emma couldn't prove Madison caused the specific damage. Her final hope that someone somewhere would hold. But a working woman's dreams and financial security. The amount of her lost security deposit, knowing she would never recover the full $18,000. What neither Madison nor Emma, Judy's research team had been. Family for 2 full weeks before the taping. Madison's deleted Instagram. They had obtained text messages where, adding her specifically, they had uncovered 3 previous incidents where Madison had destroyed rental properties and Richard Kingsley had paid massive settlements with non-disclosure agreements to silence the victims. Most damning of all, they had discovered evidence that Madison's destruction wasn't random drunken carelessness. It was deliberate, targeted, hate-motivated destruction of a Latino woman's home, complete with racist graffiti and messages that turned property damage into something much darker. Judge Judy had built a case that went far beyond a simple $3,200 small claims dispute. She was about to expose Madison Kingsley as a repeat offender who had been protected by wealth and privilege for her entire adult life, and she was preparing to make an example that would echo through American culture for years. Before we show you the exact moment, Madison insults Judge Judy to her face and triggers the most savage judicial takedown ever captured on camera. Hit that like button if you believe Billionaire's kids should face real consequences, just like everyone else. Subscribe so you never miss these explosive courtroom moments where entitled, "Rich bullies finally meet someone who won't bow to their daddy's money." Trust me, what you're about to witness will restore your faith that justice can still triumph over privilege. This wasn't Madison Kingsley's first rodeo of destruction and privilege-powered escape. Her trail of wreckage stretched back years, a pattern so consistent and brazen that it revealed not a series of accidents, but a lifestyle built on the assumption that consequences were for other people. In 2019, during her sophomore year at an exclusive East Coast university, Madison had hosted an unauthorized party at her sorority house that resulted in $45,000 worth of damage. Security cameras captured her and her friends smashing antique furniture that had been donated by alumni decades earlier, spray painting obscenities on walls of a historic building, and deliberately destroying the house's grand piano by pouring alcohol into it and filming the destruction for social media clout. The sorority's national organization threatened criminal charges and permanent expulsion, but within 48 hours, Richard Kingsley's lawyers had negotiated a quiet settlement, a generous donation of $100,000 to the university's building fund made the entire incident disappear from official records, and Madison never faced a single consequence. Beyond a stern talking to from her father that she clearly ignored completely. 2 years later, in 2021, Madison rented a luxury vacation home in Miami for what she advertised on Instagram as the ultimate spring break experience. The 5-bedroom waterfront property worth $3.22 million and rented for $8,000 per week was returned to its owner looking like a natural disaster had struck. Over $30,000 in damages included broken windows, furniture thrown into the pool, marble countertops cracked and stained, expensive artwork stolen, and the master bedrooms walled, demolished when Madison decided she wanted to merge two rooms for better party flow. When the property owner threatened to sue and report her to police, Madison's response was to threaten him with a defamation lawsuit, claiming he was trying to extort money from her famous family. Her $800 per hour attorney sent threatening letters suggesting the owner had exaggerated the damage and warning that any public statements would result in legal action. The owner, a small business investor who couldn't afford a prolonged legal battle against a billionaire's legal team, accepted a settlement of $40,000 and signed a non-disclosure agreement that prevented him from ever speaking about what Madison had done to his property. The pattern continued in 2022, when Madison rented a luxury apartment in Manhattan's Tribeca neighborhood. The 3-month lease ended with $25,000 in damages that included custom hardwood floors, destroyed by high heel gouges and spilled drinks, designer wallpaper torn and stained, appliances broken from misuse and deliberate vandalism, and the bathroom completely destroyed. When Madison decided to repaint it hot pink at 3 a.m. while intoxicated and filmed the process for TikTok, the landlord, a retired couple who had purchased the apartment as an investment property, attempted to sue for damages beyond the security deposit. Within a week, they received a visit from Kingsley family attorneys who presented them with a choice: accept $30,000 to cover damages and sign an NDA or face a prolonged legal battle that would cost them hundreds of thousands in legal fees even if they won. The couple, both in their 70s and terrified of being crushed by a billionaire's legal machinery, took the settlement and signed away their right to ever discuss what had happened. Madison celebrated by posting an Instagram story showing her signing the settlement documents, with the caption "winning always" and a money bag emoji. But Madison's contempt wasn't limited to property destruction. In 2023, she achieved a new low when she threw a full glass of red wine directly into a waitress's face at an upscale Manhattan restaurant. The incident occurred when the server politely informed Madison that the kitchen was closing in 15 minutes, and she should place her final order. Madison, who had been drinking heavily and bragging loudly to her friends about her family's wealth, stood up and doused the waitress in wine while her friends filmed and laughed. The bill for the evening totaled $1,200 for premium steaks, lobster, and multiple bottles of expensive wine. Madison left exactly $0 in tip and posted a video to her Instagram story mocking the crying peasant who couldn't take a joke, complete with laughing emojis and tags mocking service workers. The waitress, a single mother working 2 jobs to support her children, filed a police report for assault. The charges were mysteriously dropped 2 weeks later after the restaurant's owner received a phone call from someone connected to the Kingsley family. Though the details were never made public, this pattern of destruction and escape was enabled by the Kingsley family empire, a fortress of wealth built by Madison's father, Richard. Richard Kingsley had founded Kingsley Technologies in the late 1990s, riding the dot-com boom with aggressive business tactics that made him extremely wealthy while leaving a trail of crushed competitors and bitter former business partners. His company specialized in acquiring smaller tech startups, gutting their workforce, absorbing their patents, and discarding everything else. Former employees described a ruthless corporate culture where labor laws were treated as suggestions and workers were pressured into unsustainable hours under threat of termination. Multiple lawsuits over the years alleged wage theft, discrimination, and hostile work environments. But Richard's legal team had an impressive record of making problems disappear through settlements and non-disclosure agreements. His personal philosophy, which he stated openly at business conferences, was simple and chilling. Money solves everything, and if it doesn't, lawyers do. He raised Madison as his only child with this exact worldview, showering her with unlimited wealth while teaching her that consequences were things that happened to poor people who couldn't afford to make problems go away. The Kingsley family's political connections ran deep. Richard had donated millions to political campaigns at local, state and federal levels, ensuring friendly relationships with prosecutors, judges, and elected officials who might otherwise cause trouble for his family. When Madison got arrested, phone calls were made, favors were called in, and charges evaporated like morning fog. The family's wealth insulated them from accountability so completely that Madison genuinely believed she lived in a different world with different rules than ordinary people. She wasn't entirely wrong, at least not until she walked into Judge Judy's courtroom, one of the few places where political donations and expensive lawyers meant absolutely nothing. Emma Rodriguez had posted her sublet advertisement on Craigslist during the darkest days of the COVID pandemic, when her mother's emergency surgery created a financial crisis that threatened to destroy everything Emma had worked for. The ad was desperate and honest, explaining that she needed someone reliable to take over her lease for 2 months while she helped her mother recover. Madison saw the listing and recognized an opportunity for exploitation. She created a fake email account, crafted messages that made her sound like a responsible young professional, and even faked references that Emma never bothered to verify. Because she was drowning in medical bills and desperation, Madison paid the first month's rent in cash, smiled warmly, thanked Emma for the opportunity, and promised to treat the apartment like her own home. The moment Emma left for her mother's bedside, the mask came off completely. Within 1 week, Madison had invited 40+ people for a party that violated every term of the lease and every rule of human decency. Neighbors called the police 3 times for noise complaints. The building's superintendent threatened eviction. Emma, caring for her recovering mother 3 states away, received panicked messages from neighbors and tried desperately to reach Madison by phone. Every call went to voicemail. Every text was ignored. When Emma finally got through and begged Madison to respect the apartment and the lease terms, Madison's response was chilling and revealing. "Do you know who my father is? I could buy this entire building and evict everyone in it, including you. You should be grateful I'm paying to stay in this dump." The contempt in her voice made it clear that Emma wasn't a person to Madison. She was an inferior, someone whose home and livelihood meant nothing because she had the audacity to be poor. The destruction Madison inflicted was methodical and cruel. In the living room, she slashed Emma's designer couch, a purchase Emma had saved for 2 years to afford, with a knife while filming it for Instagram with the caption, "Burn the poor people furniture." The television screen was smashed with a champagne bottle in a TikTok video that showed Madison's friends cheering her on. Wine was deliberately poured onto the white carpet and ground in with heels, creating permanent stains that would cost thousands to repair. In the kitchen, appliances were broken through deliberate misuse. Dishes were smashed against walls for fun and filmed for social media content. And the refrigerator was left open for days, ruining all of Emma's food and creating a smell that would take weeks to eliminate. The bathroom was flooded multiple times when Madison clogged the toilet with champagne bottles and left the water running overnight, damaging the floor and the ceiling of the apartment below. The bedroom received the worst treatment of all. Madison burned the mattress with dozens of cigarette holes, spray-painted obscene words and racial slurs on the walls, and ripped the closet door completely off its hinges during a drunken rage. Her explanation on Instagram was brief and devastating. "Trash this dump, LOL. Peasant living," accompanied by laughing emojis and photos showing the destruction. Emma's attempts at justice became a masterclass in how wealth creates a separate legal system for the privileged. She called Madison 17 times over 2 weeks, every single call deliberately ignored. She texted photos of the destruction visible in Madison's own Instagram stories and received only laughing emoji responses. She tried calling Richard Kingsley's corporate office, hoping a father might show more responsibility than his daughter, but his assistant literally laughed at her and hung up. She filed a police report with photos, text messages, and witness statements from neighbors, but officers told her it was a civil matter and they couldn't help, though it later emerged that the Kingsley family had donated over $50,000 to the local police union's charitable foundation. She attempted to sue in local small claims court, spending money she didn't have on filing fees. But Kingsley family lawyers appeared and got the case dismissed on a procedural technicality, arguing that Emma couldn't prove Madison specifically caused the damage despite video evidence Madison herself had posted online. Madison prepared for her Judge Judy appearance like it was a game she had already won. She bragged to friends that she was going to destroy some TV judge and teach her about real power. She posted an Instagram story the morning of the taping that read about to teach Judge Judy who's really in charge, complete with the crown emoji and the #billionaire problems. She hired an $800 per hour entertainment attorney who spent hours reviewing Judge Judy episodes and crafting a strategy focused on denying everything, portraying Emma as a liar, seeking attention and money, and threatening defamation lawsuits if the show portrayed Madison negatively. She even brought her personal photographer to document what she assumed would be her victory, planning to post the content across her social media platforms. She chose her most expensive outfit deliberately to show dominance. The $15,000 Chanel suit and $80,000 diamond earrings, designed to remind everyone in that courtroom that she was richer than anyone else in the room and, therefore more important. What Madison didn't know, what her expensive attorney couldn't have prepared her for, was that Judge Judy's research team had been building a case against her for 2 solid weeks. They had recovered every deleted Instagram video showing the destruction in real time, including footage Madison thought had disappeared forever. They had obtained text messages through legal discovery that showed Madison using racial slurs about Emma and explicitly stating her intent to destroy a Mexican woman's home. They had tracked down all 3 previous property destruction incidents and interviewed the victims, who had been silenced by NDAs, but were willing to provide background information to help another victim get justice. Most devastatingly, they had built a case proving that Madison's destruction wasn't careless parting or accidental damage. It was deliberate, targeted, hate-motivated destruction of a Latina woman's home, complete with racist graffiti and messages that elevated the crime from property damage into something much more serious. Judge Judy wasn't preparing to rule on a simple $3,200 small claims case. She was preparing to expose Madison Kingsley's entire pattern of criminal behavior, to strip away the protection of wealth and privilege and to deliver consequences that no amount of money could erase. The trap was set perfectly and Madison was about to walk directly into it while the cameras captured every moment of her destruction. The Judge Judy courtroom buzzed with its usual electric energy as cameras rolled and the audience settled into their seats. Madison Kingsley sat in the defendant's chair with the posture of someone who had never faced real consequences, her designer handbag placed casually on the table, her diamond earrings catching the studio lights. Across from her, Emma Rodriguez clutched a folder of evidence with trembling hands, her eyes showing the exhaustion of someone who had fought to long for justice that always seemed just out of reach. Judge Judy opened with her signature directness. Miss Kingsley, you're being sued for $3,200 in damages to Miss Rodriguez's apartment. Did you cause this damage? Madison rolled her eyes dramatically before speaking. Your Honor, I barely touched that dump. The place was already falling apart when I got there. Emma's just trying to cash in on my family's success. The courtroom erupted in murmurs of disapproval. Judge Judy's eyes narrowed. I didn't ask about the condition when you arrived. I asked if you caused the damage. Madison waved her hand dismissively. Whatever damage might have occurred was just normal wear and tear. I'm not responsible for substandard construction. Emma's turn to present evidence came next. Her hands shook as she presented photographs showing her apartment before Madison moved in, pristine and carefully maintained. Then came the devastating after photos. The couch slashed with knife wounds. The television screen shattered. Holes punched in walls. Obscene graffiti spray painted across the bedroom. Wine stains ground into carpet. Emma presented the landlord's itemized statement documenting $18,000 in damages. She showed text messages where Madison laughed about the destruction. Finally, with tears streaming down her face, Emma presented medical records showing anxiety attacks and stress-related illness caused by the ordeal. Madison's reaction was perhaps more damning than the evidence itself. She laughed out loud. She whispered to her attorney, but the microphones caught it. This is pathetic. While Emma described the financial impact through tears, Madison pulled out her phone and began texting. When Emma broke down completely, Madison rolled her eyes so dramatically that people in the back row could see it. Judge Judy's warning came sharp and swift. Miss Kingsley, put your phone away. You're in a courtroom, not your country club. Madison's response was shocking. I'm sorry, Your Honor, but this is taking longer than I expected. I have actual important things to do today. The collective gasp from the audience was explosive. Judge Judy's eyes became deadly. The only thing you're going to do today is answer my questions, and you're going to do it respectfully. The interrogation intensified. Miss Kingsley, I see here that you paid $1,800 cash for the first month. Where did that money come from? Madison answered without shame. My father, obviously he takes care of me. Judge Judy pressed forward. You're 24 years old. Do you have a job? Madison's face showed genuine offense. A job? Why would I need a job? My family has money. Judge Judy's next question was surgical. So, you live entirely off your father's money, yet you destroyed a working woman's apartment without a second thought. Madison became defensive. Look, I paid for the month. What I do in the space I'm renting is my business. Judge Judy pounced. What you do? So you admit you caused the damage? Madison realized the trap too late. I'm saying that apartment was a disaster anyway. Emma should be thanking me for the renovation suggestions. The audience erupted in angry murmurs. Judge Judy revealed her research. Miss Kingsley, are you familiar with Instagram? Madison perked up. Of course. I have 340,000 followers. Judge Judy continued. And do you remember posting videos from Miss Rodriguez's apartment? Madison's confidence vanished. I might have posted some stories, so what? Judge Judy pulled out printed screenshots. These are screenshots from videos you posted and then deleted. Would you like me to describe them for the court? Madison's attorney stood. Your Honor, those are private. Judge Judy cut him off. Sit down. Your client posted them publicly before deleting them. Nothing private about it. Judge Judy read from the transcript. Quote, look at this dump I'm staying in. About to make it even worse. Poor people deserve poor things. End quote. You said that while spray painting obscenities on the bedroom wall. Madison stammered. That was just a joke for my followers. I was being ironic. Judge Judy's response was immediate. Ironic? You caused $18,000 in damages for irony? Madison's anger showed through. It wasn't $18,000. Emma is exaggerating to scam money from my family. Emma whispered through tears. I'm not scamming anyone. Madison turned toward Emma with venom. Oh, please stop crying. You probably did this damage yourself for sympathy. Judge Judy's voice cut through like a knife. Excuse me, turn around and face me, Miss Kingsley. The final confrontation came through devastating questions. Let me ask you something. Do you think you're better than Miss Rodriguez? Madison answered without hesitation. Better, I mean objectively, yes. My father created jobs and built an empire. What has her family contributed? The courtroom exploded in shocked whispers. Judge Judy's response was cutting. What has her family contributed? Miss Rodriguez is studying to be a nurse. She's going to save lives. What do you contribute? Madison smirked. I contribute to the economy. Every dollar my family spends employs people. We're job creators. Judge Judy stripped away the pretense. You personally don't spend your money. You spend your father's money. And you spend it destroying other people's property. Madison's voice rose. With all due respect, Your Honor, I don't think you understand how the world actually works. Judge Judy leaned forward. Enlighten me, Miss Kingsley. How does the world work? Madison delivered the 8 words that would destroy her life forever. People like you work for people like me. You're a public servant. My father's taxes pay your salary. Technically, you work for my family. So maybe you should remember that before you lecture me about respect. Absolute silence. Judge Judy's face transformed into stone-cold fury. The courtroom erupted in explosive whispers. Emma covered her mouth in shock. Madison's attorney buried his face in his hands. Madison sat with a slight smirk, completely unaware she had just crossed a line that no amount of money could uncross. The silence after Madison's words lasted 10 seconds. Judge Judy stared at Madison with fury. Madison's smirk faded. Judge Judy slowly closed her folder. In 35 years of jurisprudence, I have dealt with criminals, liars, sociopaths. But you represent something even more dangerous. Madison tried to speak. Your Honor, I didn't mean. Judge Judy cut her off. Be quiet, you've said enough. I spent 25 years as a family court judge. I have sentenced murderers. I have sent wealthy criminals to prison despite their expensive lawyers. None of them were stupid enough to claim that I work for them. Now let's discuss what you really did. Judge Judy pulled out a folder. Text message from you, trashing this Mexican apartment tonight. She deserves it, the courtroom gasped. Emma broke down crying. Madison stammered. That was out of context. Judge Judy responded, context. Let me give you context. Miss Rodriguez, when you first met Miss Kingsley, what did she say? Emma answered through tears. She asked if I was legal, said I should be grateful. Judge Judy pressed, did she make other comments about your ethnicity? Emma nodded. She called me racial slurs. Said people like me were ruining the neighborhood. Judge Judy turned to Madison. This wasn't carelessness. This was targeted destruction motivated by bigotry. Madison panicked. That's not true. I'm not racist. Judge Judy cut her off. Stop right there. Let's talk about money. Your father gives you $50,000 per month, correct? Madison answered quietly, yes, Judge. Judy laid out the math. You receive $600,000 per year for doing nothing. Miss Rodriguez works 60 hours per week earning $32,000 annually. The $3,200 she's suing for represents 10% of her income. For you, it's 0.5% of your allowance. This isn't your first time
causing destruction. Madison's attorney tried to intervene. Your Honor. Judge Judy silenced him. Sit down. She listed Madison's history. 2019. $45,000 damage to sorority house. Daddy paid it off. 2021. $30,000 damage to Miami rental settlement with NDA. 2022. $25,000 damage to Manhattan apartment, another settlement. 2023 assault on restaurant worker, charges dropped. You destroy, Daddy pays. You face 0 consequences until today. I don't care how much money your father has in here. Justice means something. Madison became desperate. Your Honor, please, I'll pay whatever. Judge Judy responded, now you want to pay? After calling me a public servant who works for you? I'm awarding Miss Rodriguez the full $3,200. Madison felt relief. Thank you, Judge Judy wasn't finished. I'm not finished, I'm also awarding $15,000 in punitive damages for racist harassment. Furthermore, I'm recommending to the district attorney they investigate this for hate crime prosecution. Your text messages constitute evidence of bias-motivated destruction. The courtroom erupted in applause. Madison's attorney tried. Your Honor, this is irregular. Judge Judy shut him down. What's irregular is allowing wealthy criminals to buy their way out of consequences. That ends today. But here's the part that will teach you the lesson your father never did. Judge Judy pulled out a document. This petition details every settlement your father paid to cover up your criminal behavior, every NDA, every board-off victim. Madison started crying. You can't do this. Judge Judy delivered the blow. Your father will do nothing. I'm also recommending investigation into tax fraud related to how these settlements were classified. You walked in believing you were untouchable. You walk out with a criminal referral, a judgment, and the understanding that money does not make you better than anyone else. Case dismissed. Madison collapsed into sobs. Her attorney rushed her out. Cameras captured every moment. Emma stood and mouthed. /thank you to Judge Judy. Judge Judy gave Emma a rare smile. If you can't believe what you witnessed, hit that subscribe button. The aftermath will blow your mind. Madison thought this was over, but it was just beginning. The viral explosion was instant. Within 2 hours, the clip hit 15 million views on Twitter. Billionaire Justice trended #1 with 2.8 million tweets. TikTok exploded with 50,000 reaction videos. Within 24 hours, 89 million views across all platforms. Instagram removed Madison's account after 500,000 negative comments. YouTube compilations hit 45 million views. Within 1 week, 187 million total views. Madison's face became a meme. Judge Judy's rating spiked 340%. Legal consequences came fast. The district attorney opened investigation within 48 hours. They filed charges including hate crime, property destruction, criminal mischief, harassment. The IRS audited Richard Kingsley's foundation and discovered $8.7 million in tax fraud over 7 years. Criminal investigation launched against Richard personally. 11 previous victims came forward. Lawsuits totaling $3.2 million were filed. Legal fees hit $200,000 per week. Madison's destruction was total. Kicked out of her gym. Banned from 14 restaurants. Friends distanced themselves. Richard cut off her $50,000 monthly allowance. Credit cards canceled. Trust fund frozen. Forced to move out. Filed for bankruptcy. Influencer career evaporated. All brand deals canceled. Became unemployable. Checked into rehab after breakdown. Deleted all social media. Went into hiding. Richard's empire cracked. Stock dropped 12%. Clients cancelled contracts. Wife filed for divorce. Removed from charity boards. Country clubs suspended membership. Politicians returned donations. Public apology mocked as insincere. Madison's apology ratioed 50-1 negative. Both became memes. Emma's vindication was beautiful, GoFundMe raised $340,000. Paid off student loans. Established scholarship fund. Received $18,200 settlement. Featured in People magazine. Invited to speak at nursing schools, hospital offered full-time position. Became tenant rights advocate. Publisher offered $150,000 book deal. Received key to the city. Judge Judy personally called her, became inspiration for working-class people everywhere. Cultural impact spread wide. 3 states proposed Kingsley laws. NDAs faced restrictions. Tenant protections enhanced. Hate crime penalties increased, background checks became standard, Rich Kids Accountability Movement gained 5 million supporters. Documentaries commissioned. Judge Judy hailed as hero of the working class. Madison became cautionary tale, proving money couldn't buy immunity when someone had courage to say enough. 6 months later, the transformation was complete, Madison Kingsley lived in a modest $1,800 apartment, the same rent as the one she destroyed, She worked her first real job as retail assistant manager, earning $18 per hour. She completed 500 hours community service and attended court-mandated therapy. Her social media presence was 0. She disappeared from public eye. Her relationship with her father was strained. He visited once monthly. Her assets were frozen for the first time. She lived paycheck to paycheck, Reports said she was a different person, humbled, quiet, Some victims said she reached out privately to apologize. Richard Kingsley paid $12.7 million in taxes, penalties, and settlements, He stepped down as CEO under board pressure, His divorce cost him $800 million, His net worth dropped from $4.7 billion to $2.1 billion. He started a foundation for accountability education for wealthy youth. He rarely spoke about Madison, but admitted I enabled her worst behavior. Emma Rodriguez graduated top of her nursing class. She worked at a prestigious hospital in pediatric oncology. Her scholarship fund helped 47 students. She was engaged to her boyfriend. She bought her first home. She advocated for tenant rights. She kept Judge Judy's phone number. She said, the experience was the hardest and most important fight of my life. Judge Judy's episode became highest rated in show history. She won an Emmy. She renewed her contract for $100 million. She personally mentored Emma. The case became a law school study. She said the Kingsley case reminded America that justice means nothing if wealth can buy immunity. Madison pleaded guilty to reduce charges. She was sentenced to 18 months probation, 500 hours community service, mandatory therapy, She paid $156,000 restitution to all victims. She had it. Permanent criminal record. All 11 victims settled for rumored $2.8 million total. Emma's lawsuit settled for $75,000 plus legal fees. Richard's company paid $8.7 million in back taxes. He faced $4 million in personal penalties. This story proves that no matter how much money someone has, justice can prevail when brave people refuse to back down. Emma stood up to a billionaire's daughter and won because she had truth on her side. And Judge Judy had courage to do what was right. If this inspired you, hit that subscribe button right now. Share this with anyone who's ever felt powerless against wealth and privilege. Drop a comment. Should billionaire kids face harsher penalties, or should everyone be treated the same? Remember, the next time someone tells you money rules everything, show them this video. Show them what happened when Madison thought her father's billions made her untouchable. Show them the moment she called Judge Judy a public servant who works for her. And show them what happens when you mess with a judge who spent 35 years proving justice isn't for sale. Hit that notification bell so you never miss when entitled rich people learn. Actions have consequences. The next case might be even more satisfying than Madison's complete destruction. Justice isn't just for the wealthy. It's for everyone. And Judge Judy just proved